So here we go, DTR Division 1 Season 11, and this is Race 1. I did not realise it was one-shot quali. I thought Jack was on an outlap there. So we've got the one-shot quali done, got Nexton on pole with Gunnar in second, Brandon in P3 with Connor just behind him, Daniel P5, Reliot P6, Hammers P7, Maggot P8, Joey P9 and Benny P10. Oh, hang on, I need to... There we go, just creating a close party for the comms chat. So yep, so that's Nexton on pole in the sprint, and here we go, we've got the sprint race here at Texas. It looks a little cloudy but not raining, I don't think. So we're just waiting for the drivers to apply their setups and then we'll be underway for this sprint race of the first event of the season. Big shout out to Benny in the chat. Big shout out to Benny. Just checking the comms are working there. So yep, so here we go. We'll go through the grid of this formation lap for this sprint race. Got Nexton and the Red Bull in P1. Gunnar, first of the kick sober drivers in P2. Brandon, usually a solid driver and up there at the front of the gradies on P3. Connor, having a great qualifying from him. P4 in the IB Visa Cash App racing vehicle. Daniel, P5, second of the Red Bulls. The Red Bulls do look strong here with Daniel and Nexton. Reliot in P6, a solid showing from him. Lewis, first of the McLaren drivers in P7, got Maggot in P8. Joey down there in P9, second Mercedes driver with Benny Buno in P10. Bog in the Williams on his own tonight, he's in P11 with Ricker. P12, Jack and Skipper, the two Haas drivers rounding up the grid in P13 and P14. So yeah, I was waiting for the cars to line up on the grid. Now I think the last of the Haas drivers are just pulling up there at the back and waiting for the lights to go out. So we cannot see the lights, but that is 5 and away they go. Jump on board with Nexton. Looks like got a bit of wheel spin, allowing Shane to get alongside him there, heading into P1 as we take a external view of this, and Nexton retains the lead, and the Red Bull of Daniel is having a look as well, so we'll stay on board with Brandon through this sector 1 of turns 3, 4, 5 and 6 as we enter sector 2 here up the hill, heading towards this long back straight. As Brandon has a little look at Kitchen there, but he's well, Daniel, but he's not going to send it on that occasion. So no DRS at the moment on this lap, and I think that will be activated on the next lap. So nothing too crazy at the moment. Everyone's kept it clean as Benny nearly runs into the back of Lewis. So yeah, nice tidy start from the drivers. Nothing crazy going on. Maggot, he's one of the faster drivers down there in P9. He'll be looking to try and make some moves, I think, and Joey's got some pace here as well. Next in, obviously, the fastest lap, crossing the line first on lap 1, so DRS is enabled as Ricker is dropping off a little bit from Joey, just over a second as he entered turn 1, so he'll be trying to keep within DRS if he can. On board with Bogorovsky here, P12 for him, so this is a bit of a practice drive for Bog before tomorrow in Division 2. But he has agreed to trade me Berkeley in the NFL Fantasy for doing comms tonight, so that's a big win for me and it's much appreciated, so we'll get that done later on. Jack being on his holiday in Thailand and possibly married a bloke, so we'll find out more about that when I chat with him in a little bit. And his teammate Skipper just over half a second behind him, so the Haas drivers looking to try and get some moves done and make their way up into the points if they can. Back at the front with the leader, this is next in the Red Bull with Shane within a second behind him, and I imagine the drivers are just figuring out where to use the ERS and how to manage that battery the best they can. As we put some of the details on screen, so yeah, everyone's on the medium tyre. They shouldn't be stopping. Put the position change on and lap data. Start that full track map. There we go. So a bit of a gap now between Nexton and Shane and Brandon, and a little bit of gap forming back to Connor as well. So let's have a look where these closest battles are. I think it's going to be in this pack here, as we are on board with Joey, who's in P9, and Maggot is up to P8 as Joey has a little look on the inside there, but backs out, doesn't want to damage his front wing. Easy just to tuck in behind there and come again another time. Oh yes, so we've got Mark is in Mexico drinking cocktails. Must be nice. We're stuck in England, I'm full of a cold, and Mark's in Mexico drinking cocktails. Thanks Mark, really cheered me up. But no, he deserves it. Works hard and he's been looking forward to that holiday for a while, so I hope you're enjoying the holiday, mate, and yeah, hope you get absolutely hammered. So speaking of hammered, here we go on board with Lewis as Connor sets the fastest lap in P4, so that means he is definitely gaining on Brandon. No penalties as yet on lap 4 of this sprint race, but the S-bends can catch people out, and just running wide on the track limits here can be quite punishing. So heading down this sector 2 back straight on board with Brandon right behind. Also we've got yellows. I think we've got a spinner at the back, and it's Daniel. He's dropped to the back of the pack, down 9 places overall, so I think in a full race that he could possibly recover that with safety cars, but in this sprint race that's going to be extremely difficult, I think. So Nexton out in front looks to be pulling away, where Skipper gets a 10-second penalty for ignoring the yellow flags as we jump on board with Connor here just behind the battle for P2 with Gunnar and Brandon as we make our way through the last part of Sector 3, heading onto the home straight. And both Brandon and Carnage at the back. So Lewis caught up in that. It looks like he's got both his end plates, hopefully no damage. Joey picks up a penalty. Not sure what happened there, but obviously Daniel's gained a place from that, and Rick has dropped down a couple of places as well, so Rick picks up a 3-second penalty. As he's feeling the pressure of Bogorovsky all over his gearbox, and Brandon is a little bit of a sitting duck here on this back straight, and Shane is going to have a look up the inside, outside, sorry, and gets the move done. But Brandon sent it back on the inside, so Gunnar running a little wide there opens the door for Brandon. He sends it, makes the move, and gets the move done. Connor all over the back of these two, fighting through Sector 3, costing them both time, and Connor will not complain. He's getting all the DRS from this. Got a nice little gap, 2.5 seconds back to Maggot, and Maggot's gaining quite a few places now. Got yellow flags, but the track map doesn't show any incidents there, so that's fine. I think it matches the Skipper as we come into turn 1 here, on board with Connor, P4, following this battle for P2, and Nexton is running away with it at the moment in the Red Bull. I think Connor is just being a little patient, waiting for a mistake from one of these two in front of him who are similar paced. Let's see if he can get a move done down this back straight. So Gunnar having DRS as well is obviously blocking Connor from getting that move done, but we'll make our way a bit further down the grid and see what's happening. As Daniel is having a look on the inside of Jack, and Jack is having absolutely none of it. Daniel caught his front wing a little bit and nearly takes the rest of it off, so hopefully Daniel doesn't have any damage. He only touched Jack a little bit, but really nearly plows into the back of him. So this is currently the back. Oh, Daniel loses the back end there, coming into the final corner, which is turn 20. Losing traction there and penultimately losing just over a second. We will head, I was going to head over the grid, but we've got Jack now right on the back of Rika. Yellow, so we've got Lewis who's stationary. Oh, Benny Buno is out. Okay, so Benny Buno is out. No safety car caused, and no points for Benny on this occasion. So Connor's still in P4, on the back of Gunnar and Brandon. Brandon has picked up a penalty as Gunnar harvests that ERS down that back straight and making his way through this sector 3 part of the track, still with his light flashing, so he must be low on ERS, and Connor really needs to set himself up here to get past Gunnar if he can. So Jack up to P9, still on the back of Rika, and Hammer's rounding up the points, but he does have Daniel all over him, so we'll jump on board with this as Daniel will try and take another look, and he takes the final corner again with a little bit of a loss of traction. Not as bad as the previous lap, but he seems to be struggling with that particular corner. Or maybe the setup on his car is just struggling with turning a little bit, and I think the tyre wear and the engine braking, I think once you if you have the engine brake too high like that, it'll just go, and I think both of these drivers are struggling with the tyre wear and that engine braking mode possibly being too high, and as the tyre dead gets higher, you really struggle for grip as you try to slow the vehicle down. So that's Hammers down into 13th place, so not a good race for both of the McLaren drivers as we jump on board with Jack, P9 at the moment. So I think P8 rounds up the points, I believe, so this is a battle for the points. Got Bog in the points there, doing well. Maggot, good recovery drive from him really after a pole qualifying. He gets himself up to P5. Connor picked up a penalty, so just shame without the penalty, and Nexon up front as Gunnar loses a little bit of traction there coming out of turn 20 on this penultimate lap. Sense a lot of the drivers losing traction here after just 9 laps of racing, and I believe that will be the same for the race. I think the tyre deg is the same, so the drivers will get some information on this medium tyre of how it behaves and how the grip levels are after 9 or 10 laps. So they all seem to be struggling a little bit. It's going to be a case of who can manage these tyres the best, as Maggot has a look down the inside of Connor. Doesn't really need to do it as he's not got a penalty and Connor has, but if he can get within 3 seconds of Brandon, then that could get him a podium in this sprint race. So also Connor got the place back under DRS. Can Maggot close the gap and possibly get a podium? I think he needs to be in, within 3 seconds of Brandon. Let's skip 13 seconds of penalties. So we'll leave the penalties on there for the moment as we come through this sector 1 S-bend section, and Connor is losing grip on the back end there, really struggling on these 9-lap-old medium tyres. A little bit of a battle here for the remainder of the points as Jack and Rika both get the DRS with Bog just ahead. Is Rika going to send it? Yes, he does. Nice and clean move there down the inside. Does he get the traction and the exit? He does not. Bog regains that place, which puts Rika in a bit of a tricky situation where he loses speed, and Jack goes across the grass doing a little bit of lawnmower work there for the circuit, and that ruins his chance of getting any points as we cross the line. Maggot, can he get a podium place? No, he just misses it. He gets P4, misses out by 0.3 of a second to the to Brandon, who picked up that penalty. That moves Gunnar up into P2. Running through the results of this sprint race, Nexton wins that with Gunnar in P2, Brandon P3, rounding up the podium. Maggot P4, came all the way back from around P9, P10, Connor in P5, Reliot P6 with Bog in P7, Rika P8, rounding up the points. We'll jump on board with Daniel on this second one-shot quali, and this is for the feature race. It's Daniel currently in P14, so we'll jump up to the front. Maggot currently in P1, had a poor qualifying last time. I think he may have been validated, so we'll stay on board with him here and see what he can do. Looking at the timing tower, we've got Benny Buno up there next, and obviously Nexton's now on P1. Benny's moving up as well, so it's pretty close here in this sector 3 section of the track. as we come round the... Oh, so Maggot has invalidated. Benny Buno currently net pole position as he comes round the final turn. Does he get a better exit than Nexton? And yes, he does. Sticks it on pole. So great lap from him. We had a couple of drivers invalidating with the track limits. As we mentioned, it is quite easy to do on this circuit. So that's one shot qualifying done, and we'll run through the grid during the formation lap. So here we are, ready for the formation lap of this feature race as we will run through the grid for this race. Got 14 drivers racing today. We've got Benny Buno on pole for McLaren, and Nexton just behind him on the P2, rounding up the front row of the grid. In P3 it's Brandon, and a much better qualifying from Joey. In P4 with his teammate there on the second row of the grid. Lewis, good qualifying from him, puts it on P5. Let's hope he can stop spinning during the race. Connor, good qualifying from him, P6 with Shane in P7, and Jack just behind him in P8. Reliot, P9, we've got Ricker rounding up the top 10. In P11 is Bogorovsky with Skipper just behind him, and the two drivers that invalidated their laps, Maggot and Daniel at the back. But I do believe these two drivers have got decent pace, and they will be trying their best to make their way through the pack. Daniel today, mate. So as the last driver on the grid, Daniel rounds up the grid formation. We will head back to the front. We'll get a bird's eye view of Benny on P1. He's on the outside of the track here going into turn 1. I think next we'll be looking to come across and get in between these two if he can. a little touch there from the Mercedes behind him. I think it was Joey. Yes, so Joey had a little bit of contact there with the Rebel driver, but nothing too major. As we look behind at the S-bend, and everything looks pretty clean at the moment. Hopefully we can have a good race and not just one big DRS train, as you can often get, as Lewis runs a little wide there. I'm going to guess that could have been a warning. Get the position change on here. Let's have a look at the tyres. So we've got 10 medium runners, as we look to see a move being done there at the end of turn 12, at the end of that back straight. 10 runners on the medium and 4 runners on the hards, which is Brandon, Connor, Rick and Maggot there in P14. On board with Jack, just having a look at Ricker down the inside here at turn 1 on the second lap. Can he get the traction out of there? It seems to be the driver on the outside gets the much better exit when the moves have taken place through there, as Jack moves up to P7. So Jack has gone purple sector 1, he's on an absolute mission here, P7, on the medium tyre, looking to make some moves early on in this race. Benny Buno currently out in front at the moment, only by a few tenths, as Nexton opens that DRS and gains a lot of ground on Benny there, as we make our way through this section of 13, 14 and 15. Slowest part on track, I think. And so yeah, next winner of the sprint race, and currently in P2, so good start to this event for him. We had a pole position as well, so it's looking good for the Rebel driver so far, as he opens up that DRS and begins to close in on Benny a little bit more. Joey still in P3 with his teammate, dropping back a little bit, still within a second, getting that DRS system, but he does have Shane all over the back of him, with Lewis, I was going to say on the back of these two, but there is a little bit of a gap, just over a second. He needs to try and stay within that DRS window, so these two do not just pull away from him. So here's Bennett getting his place back from Nexton back into P1, but that does put Joey right on the back of Nexton, as these two battle it out for P1, and the rest of the group are catching them as well. So still on board with Lewis here in P6. Got a little bit of a train at the front for the top 6 drivers, but all within DRS. This should be just pulling them away from Jack. It's going to make him extremely difficult for him to catch this group, as we hear a bit of banging just behind. I think Elliott may have had a little bit of contact there as we jump on board with Connor. P10 running up the points at the moment with a Bogarowski on the inside, making a move, having a look, but I think Connor may get better traction out of this bit. No, Bog gets the move done. So I think this is going to split. It's probably going to divide the race into 2 groups. If Elliott is able to battle with Jack, I think we're just going to see the front 6 pull away a little bit from this back half of the grid. Daniel picks up a 3-second penalty. On board with Maggot here, coming through the Sector 1 S section, currently P12 on the hard tyre, getting the slower tyre of the 2 compounds out of the way first, and I think with there not being an early safety car, this should benefit him quite a lot later on in the race. I think the pit window for Maggot is probably going to be lap 18, lap 17, because we've seen after 9 or 10 laps the medium tyres were struggling quite a bit in the sprint race, so it will be interesting to see how the medium runners are after 9 or 10 laps in this full race. So Daniel is just behind in P13. We've got Skipper rounding up the pack here in P14, heading back to the front. We've got Nexton in P2, all over the back of Bennett, with Joey and Brandon not too far behind. So Brandon has broken the toe of Gunnar. That top 6 were clumped together, but Shane has lost a little bit of ground on Brandon. I think that may have been a little bit of battling with Lewis potentially. Here we are with a leading pack coming through Sector 1, entering Sector 2 for this long back straight. We've got Benny Buno leading the race with Nexton, Joey Haywood and Brandon just behind. Brandon battling his teammate for this final podium spot as they pull away from Gunnar a little bit more, so 1.9 seconds is the gap, and meeting Shane's on that medium compound of tyre, but Brandon quite sensibly going hards with Joey going mediums, so they will not double stack in the pits, where I think Gunnar and Rick may just get away with it with the 5 seconds or so gap between. Oh no, they're on alternate strategies also, they're perfectly fine. So next and happy in P2, utilising the DRS, where I think Bennett will be having to use his battery to defend, so I imagine Nexton's pretty comfy using his DRS and waiting for that perfect opportunity. I think with Benny Bruno next and Joey, it'll be interesting to see who pulls the trigger first. I think Joey may have the option to undercut Benny and Nexton, but that will leave him vulnerable towards the end of the race on a lap older hard tyres. So I think the undercut may be powerful here. I'm not too sure, but it is a big track, and if they are struggling on the older mediums, the undercut may very well gain Joey 1 or 2 places if he can pit a lap before those two. But we'll see how this pans out, and his teammate Brandon obviously on the hard tyre just behind him here. He's happy being a part of this front 3 pack on the slower tyre, and I think it's going to start turning around where the hard tyre is now quicker than the medium tyre, I believe. We'll keep an eye on the gap of Rick to Hammers and see if this is the case with the hard tyre becoming much quicker than the mediums. As we saw in the sprint race, I think it was around about lap 8, lap 9, the mediums were dropping off quite significantly and the drivers were struggling on that tyre, so you might see some people lap as early as lap 8. Back up to the front we go, on board with Nexton, as he's all over the back of Benny Bruno as they make their way through sector 3. So the top 4 drivers, you could throw a blanket over these, and just pulling away quite a bit now from Gunnar, nearly 4 seconds. So I think Gunnar's struggling with that medium tyre, and I would say the pit window is probably open now as drivers begin to struggle. We've got a Red Bull doing spins and donuts and stuff, so I hope he's having fun. But no, he's clearly made a mistake and lost traction there, probably cooked the tyres a little bit, and we could see Kitchen pit, which he does indeed. Lost a bit of a front wing end plate there. Hopefully he's not caused anyone else any damage with the contact heading back to the front. It's as you were next, and P2 just behind Benny with Joey and teammate Brandon in tow. The gap is now 4.2 seconds, so in one lap they've pulled out an extra 3 to 4 tenths over the sober driver, and Hammers is still just around about 1.2 seconds behind Gunnar, so not getting that DRS, which enables Rick to open that DRS, and he should be able to get the move done on Lewis on this lap 9 down this back straight. So he gets that done, and that puts the Sauber drivers together in P5 and P6. So Ricker P12 having a little loss of traction there as he makes his way through sector 2, having a bit of a little battle with Jack, but losing that traction. So I think the medium tyres are going off a little bit. We've got another yellow out, but the track map looks good to me, as Daniel is now on the fresh hard tyres. So Lewis, first to pit of the mediums, and I think that's quite sensible. I think he would only lose time, so I think he's done good. Pit in there, and he should undercut the rest of them, but I wasn't sure of the gap that he had before he came in, so that'll be interesting to see where he ends up after they all pit. And I think he was round about 1.2 seconds behind Reliot, wasn't he, in P7, so we'll keep an eye on that one. Benny Bruno still out in the lead as Connor gets a penalty. So it's just Connor and Daniel with penalties at the moment. as we make our way just past a third of the way through this race. So Joey decides to box second driver on the mediums to choose to pit. Lewis pitted just before him. Be interesting to see how Nexton and Benny can cope on these 10 lap old medium tyres as the rest of the guys choose to pit, getting rid of these mediums and putting on the hard tyres. So going back up to the front, see how these guys cope on these degrading tyres. I'd imagine Benny must pit this lap, because if he doesn't, I think Nexton would undercut him. So the first series of pit stops puts Skipper up to P7. And Brandon obviously not pitting, started on the hard tyres as he takes out third place away from his teammate for now, who's obviously just pitted for the hard tyres and coming out in P7 for Joey. So 3 drivers left on the mediums, and will Benny pit or will he stay? So Benny chooses to pit, and Nexton does the opposite, stays out. Brave for Nexton, but if he's managing his tyres well and feels like he has plenty of grip in them, then he seems confident that he can avoid the undercut. But he loses traction there. I'm not sure if there was contact between himself and Brandon, but I cannot imagine those mediums are feeling good at all as they make their way through the S-bend, and we should be able to, I think it's the hard braking zones where the grip really struggles into this slow corner. So coming into this turn 11 here, coming down the back straight, we should see what Nexton's traction is like. So it looks good. He's managing it. He's managing it well. As Brandon opens up that rear wing, and he'll be hoping he can get past and not be held up any longer if he can. So Nexton and the 4 hard runners in the top 5 are the only drivers yet to pit, with Benny being that leading car of all the pit stoppers. He's got a 1.5 second buffer to Joey, so he's not got anyone with DRS all over the back of him, so that's good for him. As Nexton comes into the pit, we will jump on board with Benny and see how we can see if he can extend the gap on Nexton or not. So Shane getting 3-second penalty, and Connor comes. Oh, next. I was going to say Connor comes into the pit, but that's Nexton. So Benny, and he easily gets past Nexton there and gains a little bit of ground, and Nexton loses a place to Joey, so that puts Nexton in a net P3 at the moment. So out in front, got Brandon yet to pit, Maggot 6 seconds behind, he's yet to pit as well, along with Rick and Connor. Oh, Connor a little bit late on the brakes there into turn 11. Yeah, and does not get the DRS down the back straight, so that was very costly for Connor, losing that DRS, and that will, he's going to have to try and get back within that second if he can. So Nexton did make a move on Joey though, which we missed, but Joey got the place back, and I think that's a case of, on the exit of 12 after the long back straight, on the outside you get much better traction. It's a very acute corner, and on the inside it's very difficult to get a good exit there, so they are battling out for P2, or net P2 at the moment, with the Nexton having one lap fresher tyres. So Nexton's tyres are probably only just coming up to temperature now, really. They would have been quite cold on that initial outlap, and Joey would have had much warmer tyres, I think. So the initial hard run is staying out, and I predict they would possibly try and go to lap 20 if they can, just so they get 8 good laps on the medium tyre. So you go on board with Lewis, crossing the line and beginning lap 15 as we head into turn 1. He's all over the back of Gunnar, and he was 1.2 seconds behind Rick earlier on, so I think he's gained ground, undercutting the rest of the field, as he has a little twitch there coming through these S-bends. I think that might have been like turn 5 or something, turn 4. He's in the dirty area of Shane, just ahead of him in the silver. So Daniel's pitted again for the medium tyre, currently 40 seconds behind Skipper. Looking at the track map, he's not a million miles away from being lapped. So the gap's quite big at the back there. Got Nexton within a second to Joey. Joey's done well to pull out that size of a gap as Brandon pits, and he puts the medium tyres on, and we'll see where he can come out in relation to his teammate. His teammate has passed him already, so I think that long stint has cost Brandon on the hard tyre, but I do think the mediums will struggle. So if he was struggling after 15 laps, the hard drivers, they're possibly going to be struggling at the end of their stint as well, so it'll be an interesting end to the race. But he's definitely lost ground because he was with the top 4, or the top 3, he was right behind them, and in that pit window he has lost it. But can he make the most of this softer tyre in the first few laps and close that gap to next one, but 5 seconds is a lot. It is a lot that he has to find, but we've still got 3 cars at the front. Maggott, Elliott and Connor yet to pit, still on this hard tyre, and I would run this to lap 20, 19-20. I wouldn't want to pit so early on them. As they both pit, so it looks like the hard tyres are only doing 15-16 laps. So Benny's sitting quite comfortable at the moment, the 2.2 gap to Joey in P2. Next in within DRS, so I'm just behind Joey, rounding up this top 3. Brandon, as we said, lost a bit of time, but I think he's gained already, 4 to 6, 7 tenths in 1 lap, so he's really making the most of these mediums at the moment, where he does need this compound to get into the end of the race, and I think around about lap 25, lap 26 we may see this tyre compound beginning to struggle. So the gap is down to 3.4. I think he should be close to these two in a few laps. Safety car, what has happened? So Jack doesn't have a front wing, and that has caused the safety car, which is good for the stream. We can see the drivers bunch up and have some more good competitive racing again. I think the race needed that safety car, and what do the drivers do? Brandon does not have another set of hards. If he did, he would go to them. The hard drivers will pit for mediums, I think. Me personally, I think the mediums have got to. I think the hard driver's got to pit. Shane's called it, and I think if everyone copies him, then the front 3 drivers are in a world of pain. I think good call from Shane, and that triggers everyone else behind him to come in and do the same. Jack needs to pit as well if he can. Obviously, he needs to replace his wing. He actually needs a wing. So don't speed. There we go. So Jack coming in for that new front wing. That will, I think it'll put him 13th. He'll lose 1 place, so that's fine. Unless Skipper comes in and gets double stacked. Nope, Skipper carries on. He's happy with his hard tyres, and yeah, I think Skipper should pit on this lap for the medium tyre. He might as well have an advantage over Benny joining next. If anything crazy happens, he'll be on the better tyre, and he'll have 1 lap, maybe 2 lap fresher tyres than some of them. So the safety car definitely spicing up this race a little bit. It brings Daniel back into it as well, which is good for him. He's been out at the back for a long period of this race. He's not really been involved, as he had some early damage and needed to pit, but that brings him back into the fold. So the safety car will not come in this lap, but it will come in the following lap as we run through the grid. Behind the safety car we've got Benny, P1 on the medium hard strategy. Chose not to pit, but I do think if he chose to pit, I think the other 2 behind him pit as well. So I think he's made a big mistake there, along with Joey next to him. Brandon is on the oldest of the medium tyres, apart from Daniel, who's on 4 lap old. Mediums, he's pitted a couple of times. So Maggott in a great position there with 1 lap old mediums, along with Elliott, Connor, and Shane's only just pitted on along with Harry, Hammers and Bogorowski. Rika gambling for those softs. P11, he wasn't in the points, I don't think, So he's just thinking, gamble, see what he can get, but them softs are going to be crying after 5 or 6 laps, I would imagine. But we like it. We like it. We like a bold strategy. Be interesting to see how he does skip it. Does exactly what Rick is doing, going for those soft tyres as well. So I do believe the safety car will be in this lap. It'll be interesting to see what kind of advantage these medium drivers do have on these hards. They're fresher, and those softer competitions should have more pace, and surely the front three are regretting the decision to stay out. And I think it was the perfect time for Benny to put it in as well. It wasn't too late where he'd already gone past the pit lane. I don't think he could have pitted, but obviously chose to keep track position. But you do need to be on the right tyre at the right time as Benny begins to leave a gap and back the pack up a little bit as he lets the safety car go into the pit lane. Benny, I think he's going to get just round here. I mean, it's a long straight, so you do want to go as late as you can to reduce that straight, but Benny's gone already. Brandon is already having a look at next in here. That medium tyre is working out nicely for him on that restart. Nexton losing a place already as Brandon runs down his teammate. I think his teammate will just let him pass. He'll do the right thing. His point was holding Brandon up when he can go and get this race win. Jack, 3-second penalty. Joey with his teammate right behind him here, full of confidence on that medium tyre. No DRS yet, as I think Brandon gives a little squirt of the battery and his teammate just says, "Come on mate, you go for it." Or is he going to defend here? So he lets his teammate go. He knows he can't battle against the medium tyre and lets him go, and he'll probably try and hold up the cars behind him. Maggot up into P4, he's on that medium tyre as well, so Joey's going to have a tough job on his hands of keeping Maggot behind him. And Nexton now is down to P5 with Shane all over the back of him. See, we are coming in the final corner beginning lap 21. Already you can see the grip difference between that medium tyre and the hard tyre as we make our way through these S-bend section in sector 1, and obviously Brandon has much more grip. He's pulling away from his teammate over nearly 1.5 seconds in one lap, and Benny Buno is just a sitting duck at this point, and Brandon will get the move done with the DRS as Daniel gets another 3-second time penalty. There we go, Brandon. Passes Benny Buno, who just cannot do anything about it at this point on that hardy tyre, and we should see Brandon pull away from Benny, and we see Benny's loss of traction there as he makes his way through turn 16. Well, that was like 13 to 14, I think. Yeah, already nearly a second gap. So bearing no mistakes, Brandon could have his first win of the season for the Mercedes team as he sets the fastest lap with a 1:35.7. And now we need to see if Maggot can catch Benny. Got Rick on these medium tyres, he's right behind next and fighting for this P5 position as well. That Ferrari sounds really weird. Ferrari engine sounds really muted and quiet now since the update. There's the currently P6 and wow, so Joey runs a little wide there, struggling on those 11 lap old hard tyres, and Nexton's in a little bit of better shape. Just 9 lap old, just Rick sends it down the inside, doesn't quite make it. They'll both get the DRS and Joey will just be the sitting duck down that back straight. So we've got Rick round the outside of Joey, but then becomes inside, goes Guna all over the back of him as well. We have front row seat here from Lewis's cockpit as we come round the end of lap 22. Lewis on the 4 lap old mediums as well. Sends it down the inside of turn 20 and gets that move done, I think. No, he doesn't. So Shane retains that position, getting that better traction on the outside there, carrying that all the way up the straight. So he does retain P7 for now, and Bulk is all over the back of Lewis as well. So we've got some great racing here at the end of this race, courtesy of that safety car. Joey gets a 3-second time penalty. Connor gets a 3-second time penalty as well. So quite a few penalties coming in late on in this race. Bennett still within 3/10 of Brandon as he sends it here, and is the medium tyre beginning to drop off? I was a little concerned that Brandon pitted maybe a little bit too early, and maybe the tyres are just dropping off quite a bit now. Elliott picking up a 3-second time penalty. That's going to cost him P4 at the moment, and maybe even P5 and P6. So really unfortunate penalty for him as he's doing so well there in P4. On board here with Benny Buno looking back at Brendan on those 8 lap old mediums. Nexton back up to P4, but he is 3.5 seconds behind this podium pack at the front. And Ben is having a great race here to keep going on these 12 lap old hard tyres, and maybe it was the right call to stay out after all. I did think the mediums would have had quite a significant advantage, but obviously they are going to be dropping off within the next lap or two. Connor picks up a 3-second time penalty, so we'll jump on the detail and have a look who has what penalty. So Connor has 9, Daniel has 18, and the rest have 3 seconds. So at the moment, Nexton is going to jump up to P5, I think, or P4. Yeah, Nexton's going to jump up to P4, I think. As it stands at the moment, I think Bog may pick up some places as well. Oh, Nexton's dropped down, so what's happened to him? As he makes contact with the driver behind. I'm not sure who, I think he may have made contact with Bog. So I think Nexton has possibly gone off track or been overtaken, and then just side by side through that section there's been someone had a little bit of a wheel contact with Nexton and lost it a little bit, I think, but I didn't get to see it too clearly, so I'm not 100% sure. Back at the front we got Maggot in P3, just behind Brandon and Benny. Brandon on those medium tyres and Benny on the hard tyres. Got yellows in sector 2. Can't see anything on the map. Oh yeah, it's Lewis going off the track for a little bit, doing a bit of sightseeing over this way. Yeah, just cut over that grass there, cut over this bit of track here, and get back on track. That is how you do sector 2. Yep, go off again. Oh, has he no front wing? We'll let him off then. He has no front wing. Not sure what's happened there. Back at the front, Bennett has got 2 drivers all over the back of him as they come down that back straight. So Maggot moves up to P2. So here we go, 2 laps remaining and the top 3 battling it out for the race win. Can all 3 of them keep it clean in terms of penalties? Can they keep it clean in terms of on-track racing? And can they keep the car on track with the tyre deck being quite significant at this stage? Got yellow flags in sector 3. It looks like Lewis is hitting a few walls, and yep, your wheels fell off, mate. Can't park there, sir. So that's Lewis out. It looked like he was doing some dodgems there in the pit lane, and we jumped back on board with this top 3 battle. So Brandon, currently in P3, he's picked up a 3-second time penalty as well. Relic's got 1, Guna's got 1, and then Nexton is the next driver without a penalty, so he's going to gain a place on Guna and a place on Belliot as well, I think. There's just Nexton, Bog, Maggot, Benny and Ricker, the drivers without penalties as we come through this sector 3 part of the track, and there'll be just 1 lap remaining. So here we go, last lap. Benny Binotto in front on these. I'm going to put the tyres detail up. So currently in the race is Benny with Maggott just behind on the 11 lap old mediums versus 16 lap old hards, and you'd have to say the hards must have the advantage. Got yellow in sector 3, I think that's Daniel again. Maggott sends it on Benny. Benny tucks in behind and keeps it clean. I think this could be Maggott's race now. After that, he's timed it to perfection, but Benny is on the inside here, and Brandon just hoping they'll collide and pick something up from this, but they nearly make contact here as they make their way through sector 3 with Benny was alongside, but they avoided the contact, and I think this will finish across the line. I think as we Benny's having a look, making a little bit of contact. Brandon wants to send it, but loses that traction on exit, and Benny's off. So he crossed the line. So Maggott wins. A brilliant race for him, making the most of that safety car. Benny drops down to P2. That safety car costing him and Brandon. Brandon picks up that podium, but his teammate drops down to P9. Reliot P4, next in P5 with Borg in P6. Gunnar P7, Jack in P8. Joey P9 and Rick are running up those points on the soft tyres. In P10 with Connor, Skipper, and Daniel running up the grid with Lewis still in the pit lane with 3 wheels. So that is the Texas COTA Grand Prix, and Maggott is the winner of this opening race of the season. So you go, Maggott takes the top step with Benny on the second step, and Brandon there in P3. So that is Texas, and that's the opening race of this season 11 season, Division 1. Maggott gets the season off to a flying start with a win there in the feature race. So that is it for tonight's race, and we will catch you next week.